I'm Jonathan Braylock.
I'm Dra Milligan.
And I'm James III. And we're the hosts of Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood. It's a comedic podcast that reviews films with leading actors of color and analyzes them in the context of race and Hollywood's diversity issues.
Yeah.
Listen to new episodes on Mondays. Find us wherever you get your podcasts.
I don't care where you get them. I just want you to listen.
Don't threaten the people. We need them to listen.
Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. Listen to us. Yay.
Yeah, put on a happy voice.
What more can I say? You know what it is.
Black men can't jump.
This episode may contain explicit language. Welcome to Mom and Dad Are Fighting, Slate's parenting podcast for Monday, October 30th, the Eclipse and Tips edition. I'm Elizabeth Newcamp. I write the family travel blog Dutch Goose. I'm the mom of three littles, Henry who's 11, Oliver who's 9, and Teddy who's 7. We live in Tokyo, Japan.
I'm Jamilah Lemieux. I'm a writer, contributor to Slate's Care and Feeding Parenting column, and mom to Naima, who's 10, and we live in Los Angeles.
Well, it's almost Halloween, and lots of parents are torn about what to do this time of year. So first, you'll hear an interview with an outdoor school in Detroit about how to get your kids engaged with the natural world as the leaves are changing. And then Jamilah and I are going to talk about our own Halloween traditions and our ideas for working around some of the trickier parts of trick-or-treating. And finally, we'll end with a round of recommendations. That's all coming up after a short break. Stay with us. This episode is brought to you by KiwiCo. As a parent, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing your child's eyes light up with curiosity and enthusiasm. When you give a gift that inspires a child to explore a topic they're passionate about, you're not just offering them a present, you're fostering a love for learning that can last a lifetime. That's why I turned to KiwiCo craft boxes. With their thoughtfully curated kits, kids can delve into subjects like science, art, and engineering, turning playtime into an educational adventure. These boxes spark a flame of inquisitiveness in our little ones, encouraging them to ask questions, experiment, and discover. When you're giving KiwiCo, you're gifting so much more than a small box of toys. Our family recently embarked on the delightful journey of candle making. Well, here's the thing. It wasn't just about crafting. It was about learning the art of following directions, a skill that we often take for granted, as well as all gathering around the table and watching our kids decipher the step-by-step instructions and teaching them the importance of precision and patience. But here's the best part. Everything I needed came in the box, and the quality is actually really, really good. Like, this is a candle that we could gift. This is a candle that we can actually use. I sort of look at it and can't believe we actually made it. Unwrap more than a gift. Discover hands-on fun with KiwiCo. Get your first month free on any crate line at kiwico.com/momanddad. That's your first month free at kiwico.com/momanddad.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Let's face it, sometimes multitasking can be overwhelming. Like when your favorite podcast is playing and the person next to you is talking and your car fan is blasting, all while you're trying to find the perfect parking spot. But then again, sometimes multitasking is easy, like quoting with Progressive Insurance. They do the hard work of comparing rates so you can find a great rate that works for you, even if it's not with them. Give their nifty comparison tool a try, and you just might find getting the rate and coverage you deserve is easy. All you need to do is visit Progressive's website to get a quote with all the coverages you want, like comprehensive collision coverage or personal injury protection. Then you'll see Progressive's direct rate, and their tool will provide options from other companies all lined up and ready to compare, so it's simple to choose the rate and coverages you like. Press play on comparing auto rates. Quote at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
All right, we're back. At this time of the year, it's really easy to get caught up in stuff like decorations and candy and costumes that our kids will wear once for a few hours and then never again. Halloween, and of course the holiday season that's coming up right behind it, can definitely feel a little bit commercialized and a little bit removed from the real world. But this is also a great time to get outside and appreciate nature. So a couple of weeks ago, our own Zak Rosen talked with Erin Williams, who leads Detroit's Urban Forest School. It's a program focused on connecting Black and brown kids in Southeast Michigan with the natural world. And actually, Zak was supposed to go out in nature with the Forest School to enjoy the solar eclipse earlier this month, but Mother Nature had other plans and the Forest School adapted. We'll let Zak take it from here.
Yes, I went and interviewed Erin Williams. During COVID, she had been doing lots of nature-based learning stuff with her young daughter, but she was doing it alone and she wanted to do it in community. So she started visiting other forest schools in Southeast Michigan, and it was all white people. So she was frustrated that there wasn't anything culturally relevant and centered on Black, brown, indigenous, people of color as it relates to the relationship to nature. So she and some other folks started the Urban Forest School in Detroit. It's a supplemental program. It's not like a full school. Some of the kids that come are homeschooled. Others go to traditional schools. And they meet up on weekends, some weekdays. They meet during the summer. And they go out in nature, which is where I planned on doing my interview, but it was 40 and rainy. So we met at the Belle Isle Nature Center in Detroit for a new moon solar eclipse party indoors.
So we were supposed to be outside with the sun scopes, and we had eclipse glasses ordered and all this stuff so we could actually see the eclipse, even though it wasn't going to get to totality here. But so we ended up being in here in the auditorium in the Belle Isle Nature Center, which is great. And we had we were going to have a bunch of eclipse activities set up anyway, right? So we had the Earth and the moon kind of set up so we could see kind of the functionality of the eclipse, how does this all come together? We had the constellation making that was really nice. And then the eclipse game, which is my favorite. I wish we had been able to be outside because you really need more space. Because what you do is you have the children line up like the planets and you put them in orbit. So Tupac, you're in the middle, you're the sun, okay? And then who's the closest planet to the sun? Who's Mercury? Nope, that's not the closest. So Mercury's going around the sun. Venus is going around Mercury, so you get to kind of see how everything actually works. Where's Venus? Venus. All right, Venus, and then Earth. And so I think we had a good indoor eclipse game today, but we'll definitely have to do that at the next event. Okay, stop. Okay. Earth. Who's next? Mars. Who ended up being Mars?
Who's got Mars?
Anybody?
Mars. ¿Dónde está Mars?
Oh, yeah. Phenology is the science of noticing, right? So it's the science of so it's spring. What are the first flowers that are blooming? What are the first? And so now we were just learning this year about invasive species, right? So we're understanding that invasive species bloom earlier or faster because they want to kind of push out everything else, right? And so there's this kind of natural flow, and then there's kind of invasive species that throw themselves in. So now we know that the first things that we see every spring might not be native. It might be an invasive species, and that's kind of something that we're trying to teach more about, understand more about, and we're going to be doing some more, hopefully this fall and then the spring, of actually rooting out invasive species, going into some of the parks that we frequent and saying, okay, these are invasive species, let's get rid of some of these, let's let the native plants grow. How can we do that safely? That kind of thing. I was raised in traditional schooling environments. I went to traditional school environments, but kind of always had this understanding of, there's a bigger picture. And I think that's a big part about the forest school for me too, and what I try to, impart on the children, right? There's a bigger picture, right? You go to school and we have these experiences and all this, but there's a bigger picture in our relationship with Earth. Again, in Black, brown, indigenous, and communities of color, in many instances is divine, right? The Earth is divine. This is a divine relationship.
I mean, personally, I would love my kids to know that the Earth is divine. And how have you found a way to actually convey that in a way that doesn't feel didactic or just explainy?
So we operate, and we're being more intentional about speaking this out now. We operate mostly on a phenological calendar. And so that means that like today, we had this eclipse party, right? So our events are going to be based on what's happening in nature. The full moon hike is hey, it's a full moon. Mother Nature is putting on a show, we need to center that. Like, and we need to be in community for this. This is what our ancestors used to do. This is how our ancestors developed their own relationship with Mama Earth. And so this is a model that we should be following. And so that's a piece of it too, is like, so it's not like direct. I'm not like, Mama Earth is God or anything like that. And again, it's a cooperative experience. Everyone's parents are there. And so we just really kind of try to center on, hey, there are things happening in the world. We want to be connected to those things. You should be connected to those things. This is how our ancestors learned how to do all of the things that they need to do, right? So a lot of us are also involved in, Detroit's food sovereignty movement, growing food, foraging for food. These are ancestral, traditional ecological knowledge things, but they're not things that are always talked about. And so we teach very much through that framework, kind of like these are some of the things that are important about the relationship with Earth that we have as parents and that we want you to have as children also. As opposed to having a kind of a standard curriculum, like this is what we're going to do. There are certain things that we want to make sure we do every season, but the question is always the when and the where, right? It's not always the what. Because we're child-led and child-centered, we don't always know what the what is going to end up being. And as parents, I think a big part of this is that we believe that our children are going to lead us on an exploration that we all need to be on and be invested in that. So unschooling means that life is our best teacher. Just like nature is the best classroom, life is our best teacher. And so it's like, I don't think that my child should not be able to see and experience the things that I'm doing on a regular basis. I think that there's always something that they can learn from my experiences. I think they can learn a lot from being in community with other children who are not just in their age group. That's another big thing. So the forest school is 0 to 12. So everybody, right? So from the 2-month-old baby to, the 12-year-old who's about to be 13 but still really loves to come to our stuff because they like to nerd out on nature, right?
So you grew up going to school.
I did.
Just like I grew up going to school.
Yep.
By raising Luna the way you have, with this kind of unschool philosophy, what do you notice about the ways that she tunes into the world that you didn't?
So forest school children or at least our forest school children, right, are very self-determined, right? And so like they want to do what they want to do. And so that is almost always a conversation. But even like, when I'm with these children, like they are not just, walking around kind of going to the next thing. Whenever we're walking anywhere, like normally they're looking at the nature stuff. They're looking at the green stuff. They're like, oh, what is this? They're trying to figure out what's going on. Like it's hard. It can be hard to get from A to B with a forest school child because they're always looking to the side. They're always looking in the margins. They're kind of always looking at what else is there and they're asking questions. They're saying, well, what's this? Why is this here? What does that have to do with me? And so again, these are some of the critical thinking skills that I do think, and even I think I had to deal with this myself as I grew into an adult. Some of those critical thinking skills that we don't get from our traditional school environments in America. It's not necessarily like certain people are taught to think critically, if they do good on certain tests, or we think that they have some kind of like success module or whatever. But it's like everybody else, it's just kind of like, well, just memorize everything, And so I think a lot of it too is we want to make sure these children are able to think critically, regardless of where they go to school or what they're being taught there. We want you to be able to think about what's going on around you and do something about it, right? And so like that's our model, we think, helps them do both of those things, right? Think critically about what's going on and then have agency about fixing it or addressing it or doing something about it.
For parents that want to start integrating this phenological modality into their parenting, like what's something that they can start thinking about just next time they're on a walk with their kids?
That's a good, I think even think about the seasons. Again, we talk a lot about the leaves changing, but that's not the only thing that changes, right? Everything is constantly changing. And so we frequent the same trails, we go to a bunch of the same places because we're saying, how does this look different this time, right? Like we're in Palmer Park. We saw that vernal park vernal pond last time, and now it's not there. It's much smaller. Like, what does that mean? What kind of animals are we seeing or not seeing? All of those things mean that nature is always talking to us. And so to me, I would say, like, just make sure that you're listening. When nature is talking, make sure that you're listening and show your children how to do that too.
Thanks again to the Urban Forest School and to Zak for bringing us this interview. Next up, we're going to talk through some ideas for celebrating Halloween, maybe without some of the scarier stuff for us parents. But first, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a second.
If I would have kept making only the minimum payments on my credit cards, my debt would have taken me 47 years to pay off.
These are real National Debt Relief customers.
I knew I wasn't going to be able to get out of debt by myself.
Credit card, medical, or personal loan debt? National Debt Relief negotiates with your creditors to reduce what you owe.
National Debt Relief got me out of debt.
You could be debt-free in as little as 24 to 48 months. Visit nationaldebtrelief.com to learn more and get started. nationaldebtrelief.com.
I'm Jonathan Braylock.
I'm Dra Milligan.
And I'm James III. And we're the hosts of Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood. It's a comedic podcast that reviews films with leading actors of color and analyzes them in the context of race and Hollywood's diversity issues.
Yeah.
Listen to new episodes on Mondays. Find us wherever you get your podcasts.
I don't care where you get them. I just want you to listen.
Don't threaten the people. We need them to listen.
Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. Listen to us.
Hey. Yeah, put on a happy voice.
What more can I say? You know what it is.
Black men can't jump.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Heidecker. You know me, Tim and Eric, Bridesmaids, and Fantastic Four. I'd like to personally invite you to listen to Office Hours Live with me and my co-hosts, DJ Doug Pound.
Hello.
And Vic Berger.
Howdy.
Every week we bring you laughs, fun, games, and lots of other surprises. It's live. We take your Zoom calls.
Music.
We love having fun. Excuse me?
Songs. Vic said something.
Songs.
Music.
I like having fun. I like to laugh. I like to meet people who can make me laugh. Please subscribe now.
Welcome back. All right. We get a lot of questions from you about holiday traditions, especially on the Slate Parenting Facebook page, which we definitely encourage you to join. Halloween is especially tricky for a lot of us. Maybe you have a kiddo with food allergies, or you're worried about single-use decorations and costumes. Maybe the whole thing is just a little too spooky for your family, and you're trying to figure out a middle ground. So we are going to share some of what we do for Halloween and what we don't do, and some ideas for different situations your family might face. Now, Jamilah, if I remember correctly, Halloween is not your favorite of holidays. Is that right?
It's not. You know, when Naima was younger, I really got into it. I handmade her costumes a few years. We did some very creative Beyonce costumes a couple of times. Now that she's older and she's taking more control over that sort of thing, I'm kind of not a part of it. You know, like this year, she and her friends at school are dressing up as TLC, and like she ordered her own shirts on, like she ordered shirts for them online and paid for them, you know, like they're doing a pretty simple costume. So she didn't really need my input, but I miss when she was little and I could go all out. And like some years she had 2 costumes, you know, so I did get into it when she was small. What about you guys?
I'm the same way. Like when they were little, I was all about it. It was like we could be something cute. Maybe it was because I had control over the situation. We would do family costumes. We did that for many years. And it seemed like there were more, you know, like pre-COVID, there was more like Halloween parties and things. And I don't know if that was like age-wise. Like it seemed like a reason for us to gather and go out and do things. And also that I could control the trick-or-treating a little bit more, and maybe that's because of where we were living. Like one, I'm in Tokyo, so it's a whole different ball game, but like we are not big. I don't like to have the candy in the house. Let's just cut to the chase. I don't like to have the candy in the house. It's like the idea that we are gonna go out and get this candy that I don't really want us eating. But I also don't want to deny them from we're not like a no candy family. So I feel very torn about doing all this to walk around to get candy that I am going to then either convince them to give back to me, so that we don't eat it. Like the whole thing is just kind of convoluted in my head now.
Yeah, the candy thing is always an issue. You know, like I take it and I ration it out, but like I usually leave it in the kitchen. So Naima's definitely snuck and eaten Halloween candy before. Like she's not good at hiding it. She'll leave the wrappers right. I have this like candy jar. She'll leave the wrappers right in the jar. You know, like it's really hard for them to exercise self-control when there's candy around. And it's hard for me too. Like I always overeat. I always eat too much.
I can't help. It's like I will go in to get just one piece, right? And then you're like, oh, I'm going to eat this. And then honestly, so much of it, as I put it in my mouth, I'm like, this isn't even good. Like, like I want good candy. Like, it still gives me all the oxytocin and my body is all happy with the sugar.
Yeah.
And I've tried like letting the kids eat as much as they want that night. We've almost always been like, you can keep X amount and the rest is going either with Jeff to work or we're just like taking it back. I think because like I have self-control issues and I know they do too. So we might as well just get it out of the house. And I've been very upfront. We've never done like there's like a buyback fairy of some kind now. Like people have I don't remember what it's called, but the Switch Witch. That's what it's called.
The Switch Witch.
Yeah, she switches the candy for like a prize or something.
Oh, wow.
But then it's like now people are like out. The economics of it bother me. Like we bought this costume. We also have had issues like dietary issues are really hard. And of course, when Henry's pandas has been really bad, like even just the experience of trick-or-treating can be too much. Like there's just too much sensory stuff. But I also feel very pressured in them, like not missing out on the experience because Halloween seems to have become this whole like experience. Like, do you feel like if you told Naima, like, we're not going to do this, you feel like you're cutting them off from something that seems very like formative to the American Halloween experience?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I can't imagine like taking away Halloween. That would be a big blowout around here.
So it would have been very easy here for us to be like, we're just not doing it. Like the school doesn't do it. They did a literary parade instead where the kids dressed up like literary characters. But a lot of our American friends, there's like little areas of the city that are doing trick-or-treating for kids. And we have been invited to some of those. And I initially was just like, let's just not do it. But then the kids, of course, are talking to their friends at home. And so now we've made plans to go do this with a group of not just Americans, but it's like American families that all live kind of in the same area hosting. But I'm very like torn about the whole thing. It's like I don't really like any of it, but I'm powerless to stop it.
Halloween is a machine. You can't stop it. It's bigger than us. It's bigger than you and me, Elizabeth.
Do you like spooky things?
I'm not into spooky things.
Me either.
No. Naima wants to go to a haunted house this year. She's never been to one before. And, like, she scares easy. So, I don't know. Like, I'm a little nervous about, you know what I mean? Like, I remember the first haunted house I went to was at a school in my neighborhood. And, like, somebody jumped out at me and I hit them, you know? Like, just out of instinct.
Did you feel so proud of yourself? I'm like, wow, I want to be the person that hits someone when they jump out. But I know I'm the person that cries in the corner.
Yeah, I was a little proud because I'm usually the person who cries in the corner. So it was out of character for me.
Oliver likes spooky things, but he likes like not jump out at you scary. He likes like spooky, right? Like the presence of spirits or ghosts or any of that is very interesting to him and it doesn't scare him. I honestly don't know that my kids know, like, beyond Haunted Mansion at Disney, what a haunted house is. It's probably bad parenting. Are you gonna let her go? Or are you gonna take her? Are you gonna?
We'll see. It depends where it is. You know, I think I'll let her do it though. I think I'll let her do it. One of her good girlfriends has already been to a few. I didn't realize they'd start. I mean, I guess it's the end of October, so they've been open maybe for a little while. But We're going to go for it. I'll report back on how our first haunted house experience goes.
We'll see. We'll find out. Stay tuned. I feel like I used to ask my parents to take me to haunted houses, and I know my dad used to take me to one that was not far from the house. And then sometime before I had kids, I had this idea that Jeff and I would go. And I remember I looked up great ones, and it was like a haunted outdoor maze situation. And we got there and we were lined to buy tickets, and I heard everyone screaming. And in my head, I thought, why do I want to do this? Like, I don't like this. Like, I distinctly remember looking at him and being like, I want to leave. He's like, but you wanted to come. I'm like, I don't know, man. But now that I'm here, I remember I don't like any of this.
So did you all go?
No. He was like, okay, great, let's go. But we drove out to the middle of nowhere.
That's hilarious.
I'm like, now that I hear people screaming, I don't feel safe here.
Need to do this.
Do you carve pumpkins?
No, she carved pumpkins at a neighbor's house when she was visiting her dad. So she did get to have that experience this year. And I feel bad. When I saw her doing it, I felt bad. I was like, wow, we've never carved pumpkins. Why don't we carve pumpkins? Because my mom used to carve pumpkins with me. It's just something that didn't occur to me. I have a few. I didn't take them out this year. I do have a few very small Halloween decorations, that I have forgotten about maybe the last 2 years. Leopard print pumpkins, very on brand for us.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't pack any of the Halloween decorations here, just fall decorations. And I thought we weren't going to carve pumpkins because they're kind of hard to find. But one of my friends messaged me and said, would your family like to come over and teach our family how to carve pumpkins? They're Israeli, and their youngest son is obsessed with Halloween this year, just obsessed. And she's like, I think we could figure it out, but would you come show us? So we went over there this weekend after we got back from the trip, and she had found pumpkins, some 2 or 3 big ones, and then a couple of the little small green ones, and we just carved them anyway. And it was super fun. We had none of the patterns or supplies or any of the things. We just had some knives. And it was totally fine. I was struck, though. They were like, you give the children the knives? And we're like, yeah, you kind of sit with them. They were like, so the kid's just going to plunge the knife into the pumpkin. And I was like, oh, this is kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, it's weird when you think about it.
Very weird. Very weird. Do you do any, can you think of, I feel like one of the last comments that's on Facebook that I do want us to talk about is if you're not going to do Halloween, are there other things you can do for the season? Do you have other, do you celebrate fall? Do you celebrate the autumn? Is it the equinox? Autumnal equinox? I don't know.
We don't. I'm just not, I don't have fall and winter decor for the house. I have Christmas decorations, and I have these few small Halloween decorations that I always forget to put up. But no, but there are other things you could do this time of year. I mean, you could definitely go apple picking. We haven't done that since Naima was really small. I thought about that recently. I'm like, is there somewhere here to pick apples? Because I would love, I just go for the apple cider donuts, because if you go to an apple orchard, they've always got great apple cider and donuts and apple butters and things like that. But I don't know. I guess we need to get into the fall spirit.
Yeah, I think I'm more I'm pro fall and meh on Halloween.
Yeah.
The fall vibes, I feel like I like. It's funny that Halloween doesn't really have food. So many, the rest of our holidays have food, I guess the fall foods, but it's not like you go to a haunted house and get apple cider or donuts or
no.
It's just the candy.
It's candy. The food is just the candy.
The candy's not even good. I think that fundamentally is where I am right now. I'm just no one's handing out good chocolate bars.
Yeah, there's always some, but you get so much crappy candy, and part of the fun is just the volume of candy. Actually, last year I did take Naima. I think we went with one of her friends to it wasn't quite a haunted house, but it was a Halloween carnival or festival of some sort, you know, like there was trick-or-treating and there were little experientials and things to do. It was a little corny to me, but they enjoyed it. But yeah, like I was definitely hungry. We had to go eat dinner afterwards.
Yeah, where's the food at these festivals? Come on. The parents are there for the food, guys.
Always there for the food.
Well, listeners, we, of course, want to hear your ideas about this. I'm sure some of you out there are Halloween crazy because I have Halloween crazy friends and they are so fun. It's not Jamilah and my holiday. Just we're not here for this. Bring back the little babies dressed up in weird costumes.
Babies dressed as pumpkins and prince with little mustaches and weird stuff like that.
Well, we want to hear everything that you're doing for Halloween. If you have any of these special circumstances, you have kids that don't like how the costumes feel, you have allergies, let us know how you're dealing with all of that. You can email us at momanddad@slate.com or, of course, leave us a voicemail at 646-357-9318. You can also join the Slate Parenting Facebook group. It's a great community, and you'll find a ton of support and ideas for whatever's on your mind. All right. Finally, let's move on to recommendations. Jamilah, what are you recommending?
Well, I mentioned it in our last episode, but I am enthusiastically recommending The Golden Bachelor. It is prime television. It is just really something to see, you know, these older people acting like giddy teenagers, you know, like the same behavior, the same cattiness, you know, like all the stuff you expect from reality TV, but with older people. It is grand.
The season is not over, right? So like,
No.
I can't binge the whole thing, but I need to start.
It's about halfway through.
Okay. I'm going to give it a go. I'm still like obsessed. You got me hooked on Connections. I've been doing that on New York Times. That was like so good. So now I'm kind of looking for a show to like get into and fill some of the time. So I'm going to try this. What's not to love?
What about you?
I am recommending a portable sound machine. We had one that we had used since the kids were little, but it ran on batteries. And so I recently got one called the LectroFan portable sound machine is the one we have. But it like charges with the USB. And I know it was great when we had kids, and I give these as baby gifts because they're pretty great to put in the stroller or just use when you're out, and it makes some white noise. But you guys, it is so great when you are sharing a hotel room. It just adds a little bit of that white noise to drown out, like if you're in a big city and there's city noises, or one of the kids is going to like listen to something else, or right now they don't all go to sleep at exactly the same time, which works out fine in the house, even with them sharing a room. But like in the hotel room where there's nowhere to go, maybe one kid is like reading or doing whatever in the bathroom, this little machine we can just put there. I even used it, we were on a bus tour, and I used it on the bus when the kids were just sort of overstimulated. I just could put it up there. It's very small. It clips to things. And I've just really, it's a nice way to have the ability to just kind of quiet the world with you. This one does a variety of like white noise, heartbeat, like those kind of things. So the kids also just like to play with it. But it's been a really nice little travel hack even for older kids. So there's tons of these out there, but we have the LectroFan portable sound machine. And that's it for our show. Please subscribe, leave a rating and review, and of course, tell your friends. This episode of Mom and Dad Are Fighting is produced by Rosemary Belson and Maura Currie. Sasha Leonard is the voice of our listeners. Alicia Montgomery is the VP of Slate Audio. For Jamilah Lemieux and Zak Rosen, I'm Elizabeth Newcamp. Thanks for listening.
I'm Jonathan Braylock.
I'm Gerard Milligan.
And I'm James III. And we're the hosts of Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood. It's a comedic podcast that reviews films with leading actors of color and analyzes them in the context of race and Hollywood's diversity issues.
Yeah. Listen to new episodes on Mondays. Find us wherever you get your podcasts.
I don't care where you get them. I just want you to listen.
Don't threaten the people. We need them to listen.
Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. Listen to us.
Yay. Yeah, put on a happy voice.
What more can I say? You know what it is.
Black men